Hello and welcome to another great Sunday here, everybody. It is, of course, the Cruise Amigos. We are having a wonderful, fun day. Most of America actually is bracing for some real unusual weather tonight, if you don't already have it. But come on inside. The temperature is a balmy 70 degrees, just like when you walk in off the cruise ship when you're in the Caribbean and you get that cold blast of cool air. And we've got a wonderful guest for you today. And of course, we're going to start with him last. Does that make any sense, Chili? Did I do that okay?
Absolutely.
We're going to start with him last. Up in the upper corner, Cruises for Solos host and all around crazy speaking guy. We got Pete Hall with us again today. He makes it all happen. And by the way, we want to welcome Emily's complete group is going to be with us on playback. And we are so happy because cruising isn't just for old people, or as we say, the nemesis of our good friend who used to own an airline and then he got into the shipping business, but oh well, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, there's Pete. Right above me here, Chili Falls from, and he's got his guest with him today. He's got Sherry with him too. Right above me, Chili Falls, who just got his swimming pool filled. And, he doesn't swim. It's all for show. He could have filled it with styrofoam and just put an inch of water in there and done one of those Chris Rock things where you walk on water. It would have been all the same. But today, our special guest, I met this guy, I think it's 3 years ago now. Dan has been in the tourism business for a long, long time. And the tourism business is an ever-evolving, ever-changing, and one of the things that drives technology, by the way. And that's the awesome part about his business. We're going to learn a little bit about that as we go along today. But he and his associates in their business are ever driving technology to make it easier for the customer by really making it easier for the travel agent to be on top of the best opportunities. Notice I didn't say deals. I'm not a deal guy when it comes to going on cruises. I'm an opportunity guy. But the best opportunities, and then being in control of your booking all the way through until you land back home. His name is Dan Crutchfield. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida. It's raining cats and dogs there today, but he got in before this all happened. Dan, welcome very much to our show today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Dan, just give us the 1 minute story of, I'm sure you didn't grow up as a 7-year-old opening gifts under the Christmas tree saying, Mommy, I want to be a travel agent when I grow up.
No, I actually wanted to be an astronaut. Well, no, before that, I wanted to be a garbage man. My dad said, you're not going to ride on the back of a garbage truck, find something else to do. Raised by a very successful salesman, and so being able to communicate with people and sell just came really natural to me. And ever since I was little, selling greeting cards door to door, I've had some level of hospitality or sales in everything that I've touched and everything that I've done over all these years. About 25 years ago, I had been traveling, of course, and been on a couple of cruises and liked it a lot, and had a business that I decided that I really kind of wanted to sell off and do something different, and was literally sitting across the street at a traffic light from the company that I was booking my cruise vacations with, and said, you know what I need is a vacation, get away from it. And lo and behold, one of the owners of the company ended up being my travel agent, who tried to persuade me that I should come to work for them. I didn't think so at the time. And 25 years later, here I am. I've had the opportunity to work frontline, phone sales, left cruises and tours initially after several years to pursue some corporate travel opportunities in management. Did some consulting work before they were called host agencies for a company in the Carolinas. Worked for the Carnival Corporation for a little while, and then found my way back to Cruises and Tours, who they are running the affiliate office, outsideagents.com, and I'm their sales manager.
Awesome. And of course, what he's talking about is an affiliate office is if you want to be a travel agent, and you got to think that that's not a Friday night, let's have a couple of bottles of wine and become a travel agent. And Dan and I can speak to that directly. But if you think that you have it in your blood, they provide the whole foundation for you, so that it's like the back office. They do everything for you. And of course, because of that, they are involved with Norwegian Cruise Lines. They are involved with Holland America. They are involved with Princess on a big, big level, because they have, and Dan, I don't know what the most recent number is. There's kind of like 3 numbers, right? How many total agents do you touch in a month?
Well, our total agent sign up right now, what we have engaged with us and participating as an independent contractor with us, is approximately 6,000 agents. The numbers that you're looking at are, of course, with 6,000 agents, all of them active in the business, what I usually consider the leisure agent, not leisure travel, but doing it in a leisure part-time business. Maybe about a third of those. Another third of them are very day in, day out, hard working, got their nose to the grindstone, and then the other third somewhere in between.
So 3,000 then maybe are kind of in it to win it. And
yeah.
So that when you have 3,000 agents behind you and you go to a company like Norwegian, we talk about Norwegian here a lot, Dan, because I'm a Norwegian fanboy. But so you go to a company like Norwegian and you say, we have a problem and I'd like to have you help me solve it. People usually kind of stand at attention. And that's why I'm always been a big fan of having a travel agent. And because I've always been able to solve my problems. And that to me is the biggest reason why I have a vendor. And then when I can have somebody solve my problems and it doesn't cost me anymore, I just kind of hit my head every once in a while when I run into somebody and says, oh, I don't have a travel agent. I do it all by myself. I've never understood how that works. But these guys above me, their questions are, when are we going to get on board a ship again?
Well, there are actually cruise lines that are looking at trying to make departures before the end of the summer. Dates fluctuate a little bit. The CDC is not actually holding the physical ship, call it hostage. There's a lot more logistics involved than just the ship. It is the matter of making sure that procurements, the products getting on and off the ship for food and beverages and luggage, things that are going to go through the terminal facilities, as you may or may not be aware of, the TSA, CDC, all working with airline terminals to make sure that the social distancing and everything is safe there. That same protocol has to be put into place for cruise line terminals, and it's very daunting. So working with cities and counties, private sector, trying to make sure that the cruise line terminals are up to snuff and everything is good there. And then the ports of call. We want to make sure that we continue to go to exciting ports of call. And in some cases, some of those countries really don't have the infrastructure to guarantee the health and safety of a guest. So the cruise line, the CDC, and the other governing bodies are, I won't say hesitant, but I'd say that they're definitely pumping their brakes to go to certain places that may not have that in place.
Okay, that was a really good political answer. Now, Chili, you want to put him on the spot?
Go for it.
The August 1st date has become the 3 major guys now kind of are all saying we're going to sail by August 1st.
Right.
In my mind, it's like they've been doing this all along. I think there's going to another chunk coming of suspension. Do you actually think the majors are going to be able to be ready with all the other pieces that have to fit in to go by August 1st?
Well, just to clarify what I said, I think that the cruise line corporations themselves are in fact ready to go. In fact, a lot of the cruise lines, we're talking about the big 3, and then each of them owns several other different what we call brands within them. And they're as ready to go as anybody. And a lot of the smaller cruise corporations around the world are ready to cruise. Some of them are scheduling cruises that will be leaving sooner than later. So again, the logistics are that big unknown. I know Bahama Paradise Cruise going over to the Bahamas from Florida, they're planning in July. They're planning on starting some of their first 2-night cruises over to the Bahamas in July, and they're still trying to iron out some of the logistics there. So they're trying really, really hard to get back to sea. August 1st, I would like to think so. I think August 1st through the 15th, we will see. If I had to put my stock on it, I would say probably September 1st.
Pete?
Yeah, Dan, I've got a question. First of all,
Yes, sir.
before I ask the question, Pixie Dust Adventures says, "Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for always supporting us." Dan, I've got a couple of questions. I, for one, I've actually booked every single cruise I've booked so far has been direct. So please tell me why I should actually use a travel agent rather than book direct with a travel agent, with the cruise companies. And one other question, when is the best time of year to book a cruise to get the best deal?
I'm going to answer your second question first. The best time to book a cruise is today. The main reason for today has to do with availability, and statistically in the industry, prices are always going up. They're never going down. There are some fluctuations in that, but that's your rule of thumb. Right now, we're seeing some of the most aggressive rates, policy upgrades, onboard credits, special offers. We've never seen anything like this before. So this is very much like what we call in the industry wave season coming up. So we're expecting to see a tremendous push in 2021 and 2022. 2022 is already opening up, which is a little bit early, but that's what they're trying to do is negotiate the needs for the ships, where they need to be, and how many people are going to be on the ships. Again, social distancing. Your first question, I'm glad you asked. I have a very easy way to put this. So you and I both buy first-class airline tickets on our favorite airline. We buy first class because we want to have good accommodations and be taken very well care of. We both paid the same amount of money for it. The difference is I'm going to be sitting in my seat having somebody take care of me the whole time, bring me what I asked for, give me what I need, and meet all my expectations. While you have chosen to pay for a first class seat only to get up out of your comfortable seat and go cram yourself in the cockpit and take over the airplane and try to fly it yourself. Which do you prefer?
Good answer.
Great answer. I would have a different answer. I was on a cruise one time on when a hurricane hit New Orleans. This was about 10 days before Katrina, and we got stuck out in the middle of the in the water for an extra 2 days. So we were 2 days late getting into New Orleans, and I had 42 people in a group, and I could make one phone call and I had them immediately working on getting plane tickets straightened out and getting this person shoveled to that plane and everybody back home when they came in 2 days late to get on airplanes. So ever since then, I've always used a travel agent.
You know, I don't like to dwell on the negative. I think there are many more positive attributes to having a professional business owner, an experienced traveler, a well-trained travel agent meet your expectations and take care of what you want and not charge you anything extra for it. The amount of money you're paying is the same whether you choose to do it on your own or whether you use a professional travel agent. But with the current events today, you can't help but say, if something were to go wrong, you're in the middle of the Atlantic during a hurricane, or something happens in this world that's out of our control, do you want to be the guy that's standing at the front counter of a hotel being told, no, there's no room for you? Do you want to be the one at the airline counter being told your flight's been changed, you got to figure it out for yourself? Or do you want to be able to, as you just said, Chili, to pick up a phone, call your travel agent, and in most cases, the travel agent knows before you know who's going to work everything out for you. Make sure you're well informed, make sure that all the connections you need are made, and that you're well accommodated for.
Now, I have a question about your business.
Okay.
I have, over the years, and I have a company that I've worked with a lot. Because of my shows and stuff, my YouTube channel, I have people all the time that call me and say, hey, I want to book a cruise. Can you help me? So I feed them to my guy who takes care of them and books it and all that because I'm not a travel agent. I get nothing out of that. yeah, maybe once in a great while he'll give me a discount or something. But I've sat down last night and thought I fed maybe 200 customers through a company that have booked cruises that I make absolutely nothing on. With your company, could I be in a situation where I would funnel folks in and be able to make a little bit?
It's a good question, and we're asked a lot. And a lot of people call us up and they want to get into the travel business. Pretty much the way you're saying, Chili, is I refer a lot of people. It's kind of how I got into it, but it was well before this host independent contractor program came into place. But what you really need to assess is, it's really important. If you call me up and say, I'm interested in doing what we do, I'm going to ask you, do you want to own a business? Do you want to be a business owner, responsible for being a business and conducting yourself in a very professional manner as a business owner? If that's yes, then the type of business you're choosing to get into is travel. One of the jobs you will have is being a travel agent, not the other way around. I know people, I want to be a travel agent. Honestly, I don't want you, because that person is not going to be as committed to being the professional that we want to train and support and help you grow your business. Can you make a living doing this? Absolutely. We have a lot of agents, quite frankly, that make a lot more money than me. That's just the honest truth. We've got a lot of very hardworking agents that are extremely successful and doing very, very well. And even our casual or leisure agents that I spoke about earlier, they're very comfortable with the amount of money that they're making in lieu of the work they're doing, because they're compensated directly by the suppliers. So everybody's a win-win.
Can I ask you a question, Dan? What licenses do you need in America to become a travel agent? How can you, and how much does it cost?
Yeah, absolutely. If today Chili is trying to decide whether he wants to, there's usually like 3 platforms to choose from. You're going to go out and be your own travel agent, open your own agency, and you're just going to go on your own. You could also join a host agency like ours, and there are several of them out there that are very good companies. Or you could choose to be a part of a franchise opportunity where you're going to carry the name of that other company. You'll still work as an independent contractor underneath of them. Let me say, to answer your question, is to be an agent with your own agency on your own without the support of either the franchise model or the host agency model, you're looking at probably around $5,000 before you turn on the lights. That's just in your licensing, your insurance, your bonding, the certifications that you need, and all the above. Not even determining what kind of platform you're going to operate your booking engines off of, keep up your database, all of those things beside that. So, and then you got training. Who are you going to pay to get your training? Where are you going to go to get the training? How up to date is that training? All of these things play into it. If you say, I want to be a travel agent on my own, so you got to get licensed, bonded. You have to be licensed in your own city, state, or county. You have to have your E&O insurance, CLIA, IATA, ARC licensing. All of these things have to play in, and you're going to have to figure this out for yourself if you want to do that.
And let me tell you, that's the part that he minimized. That's the maximum. That's the easy part. It's the training. It's the training. Did I mention the training, Dan? Did I mention the training? Did I mention that?
Yeah, there is training.
There is training, and that's the beauty of whether Dan's agency and other agents. We're not trying to, I'm not here to do a sales pitch for Dan. But the training that it can be offered through a host agency is, how many thousands of hours do you say you might have up on the internet of training right now? It's 10,000 hours of training. That was the irony of this COVID thing, as I'm watching in the chat rooms, is like, hey, you guys, perfect opportunity. If you're at home and you're doing nothing, especially the leisure agents who have a job too, can't do the job. You got 8 hours a day that you can go study and learn and learn and learn, because it's all about learning that makes a travel agent a successful travel agent.
To address what you're asking, Pete, I didn't want to evade, the obvious, and you didn't invite me on to advertise for outside agents, but again, a lot of host companies out there, and a lot of opportunities for agents to choose what's the best fit for them. But when somebody asks why outside agents provides everything that any large corporation should offer. Many do offer for those that want to get into business for themselves. So everything that we just mentioned that costs thousands of dollars, you would get as being part of our family, and it is a family, and that is the difference. Is outside agents doesn't see themselves as a large corporation. While we're one of the largest in the industry, the fastest growing in the industry, we are very much a family, family owned and operated for 27 years, going on 28 years, and we see it as giving people an opportunity to start, run, own, maintain a successful business in the travel industry by providing them with the best technology, the best training, and the best opportunities for marketing so that they can achieve their goals in this industry. It's a beautiful industry and we love it very much. So a lot of time is spent in the training, a lot of time is spent in the technology, and our agents can get in for as little as $21 a month. No thousands of dollars down, no thousands of dollars up front, no lifetime commitment like my gym membership. I got that gym membership, don't use it. I drove by the other day and they're out of business. I still think they're taking $10 a month out of my account. I got to look into that on Monday. We want to make it as affordable and easy for somebody that wants to achieve their dreams in the travel industry.
I've got another question for solo cruisers. And do you think, because of what's happening at the moment with social distancing, that a lot of these cruise lines will think, do you know something? I think it's a really good idea to maybe try to go after the solo market and offer better deals for solo cruisers. Do you think that's going to happen?
I do. Actually, there were a lot of the industry as a whole, travel industry as a whole, not just the cruise industry, that were doing a lot more of the single passenger without paying the supplemental fees. Or real reduced supplemental fees. That was already kind of in place. And now with social distancing, most of the cruise lines that are going to be rolling out, the sooner we'll have less passengers on board. So the earlier ships going out, I mentioned the Bahama Paradise Cruise Line, they're probably going to sail with like a 60% reduced capacity, so 40% of what they should have on board. And most of the cruise lines are going to do that. And in doing so, it would be beneficial to them to occupy a cabin with a single occupancy person instead of having that cabin going totally empty, no revenue at all. So yes, I do see that as something that should be coming up, and I will make a note of it because I'm doing a Zoom call with Adolfo Perez and Mike and Kurt, two VPs at Carnival Corporation, Carnival Cruise Line, later this week, and so I'll address that with them.
There we go. We heard it here first. Thank you.
Bahamas Paradise has a very nice solo package.
They do.
Yeah, I've got an interview coming up with them, and that's one of the things that I researched before my interview with their CEO.
And that's what we're looking for is, of course, that's why I'm a Norwegian fanboy. But ironically now, if my transatlantic goes this fall, because of the changing prices, I upgraded to a balcony for less than my inside solo cabin originally that Maureen booked me on. So I'm going to get a solo cabin lower price than my solo cabin costs. So, but
and just to go back and say it again, Royal Caribbean, NCL, they're brands that fall underneath of them. All of these brands, NCL, they're all offering solo accommodations on board more than they have ever before. The new ships being built, MSC and some of the other ones, have specifically solo, not areas. I don't want to say like we're cording you off or anything like that, but they have special accommodations so solo travelers can feel comfortable and not feel like they that missing bed should have somebody in it.
Look at the solos down there in the let's throw candy at them. No,
especially if you're solo and 71 like I am, maybe they need to cordon me off.
Loser. No, I'm just kidding because I'm one of them. I am one of them. That's really nice. And Norwegian, of course, kind of started it with their solo cabin idea and hoping that as other ships get that idea that we do have money, and the idea of having a special cruise director for us has certainly been fun on the Norwegian ventures that I've been on where that has happened. So it's a good time.
Yeah, Norwegian's well known for being very innovative. They're the first ones to come out with private islands and quite a few other things. I could go down a whole list of things that they were kind of first to capitalize on. But again, I think that what's best for the industry, all of the tour companies, all of the resorts, everybody is getting behind progressively and aggressively to accommodate seniors, solos, LGBT, just whomever wants to travel should have equal opportunity to travel and equal access to travel. And I just really believe that's what's really cool about our industry is they're always aggressively going after that opportunity.
How about not cruising right now when we're waiting to get on the cruise ships? I know that Outside Agents books everything. What are some great things to do in America that just don't seem to come up?
Until social distancing and some of the lockdowns open up, as far as national parks just opened up in most states. I know a few states that national parks are in still have a governmental override. But nationally, the national parks are supposed to be open and ready to welcome visitors. Vegas is starting to open up, keeping social distancing in mind. There are American cruise lines that will start opening up American waterways. So whether you're sailing up and down the Mississippi River or whether you're sailing through the northern Pacific, so there are those opportunities as well. People are having to be a little bit creative on their ideas. Club Med has a beautiful resort. It's a medium price resort in South Florida. It's all inclusive. We can't go to Canada. Pete's sisters over there in Canada won't let us in. I don't know what that's all about, but apparently somebody didn't pay their dues and we can't cross the border. The people south of us can hop back and forth as they please, but we can't get into Canada. We'll get political if I get carried away on that one. But there are some opportunities, but I think really the key focus shouldn't be as much. I appreciate your question, John, but it's not as much of what can we go do now. Most travel is booked 6 to 8 months in advance. So for the person that is missing out on their May, June, July travel, it's unfortunate, but we can't go back. There's nothing we can do about that. But what you can do is focus on what you can do, and what you can do is go ahead and make plans and take advantage of the great opportunities that are out there now with the various tour companies, the all-inclusives, and certainly our cruise lines.
But to get this itch scratched for 6 months from now, 8 months from now, would you feel more solid about I know Club Med's on 3 sides of the Alps now. We always think of Club Med as California, Mexico, or Florida, like you say, but Club Med's on 3 sides of the Alps, and it's an incredible bargain regularly. I don't know how it is right now. So would you to scratch that itch, would you think of that in 6 months, or would you think of trying for a cruise and it comes, it doesn't come?
Well, I mean, I'm going on a cruise in September, so I'll be going to Iceland, and from Iceland, Reykjavik, we're going to go over to Ireland, and that's going to be on Ponant. And I'm very thankful and very pleased for Ponant to make that offer available to me, and so they're sailing. So there are cruises that are going to be available, as I mentioned before. Traveling to Europe right now, you have to really be careful about what they're allowing. Right now, they're a lot more open to fellow Europeans than they are American citizens coming in. So you'd have to look at State Department guidelines as far as traveling over there. Close to home travel that you've asked about and mentioned, the drive market. The thing with the drive market is not to sell a travel agent short, and kind of to play on that a little bit. Travel agents don't generally book a lot of domestic drive market hotel rental car business. That's about 80% of that has been in the past through the internet. Now, I think that's going to shift a lot as people have booked hotels, the hotel's closed, and they're looking for their refunds, and they don't have an advocate to go to them to find out, how do I get my money back, or what's going to happen with that. It's another story. But, I'm going in 3 days. I'm going to Kansas. We're flying to Kansas. I haven't seen my son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter in a year, and we're flying to Kansas, and we're going to spend some time in Kansas for a week. So those kinds of things, the one-offs, the little short trips. Disney's opening up. SeaWorld's opening up. Universal Studios is opening up. Social distancing, limited access to certain resorts and hotels. But these things are opening now. So there's nothing to stop you from typical domestic travel. And then as far as the future travel, worldwide future travel, you just have to be a little bit more selective. You're going to have to be a little bit more open to opportunities that are out there.
Now, go ahead, Chili.
Do you think it's safe to travel now?
I'd go yesterday. Absolutely. 100%. I'd take my family. I would go yesterday, no doubt.
You say you go yesterday. I've got to ask this. What would be your dream cruise? What would be
people ask me what's my favorite cruise line, and I tell them, look at where I spend money on my own personal vacation. I will say cruising is my favorite vacation. I've done guided vacations, did Trafalgar in Hawaii. It was fantastic. Changed my opinion of guided vacations. I've done river cruising. I've done quite a few different things. I've done all-inclusive resorts. I'm very thankful for the opportunities I've been afforded. Cruising is my favorite. And, if you ask my wife, all the ones we've enjoyed, all the special times we've had, given if it came out of my wallet to go, Carnival Cruise Line is what we choose for our vacation. Holland America, Princess, the Carnival family, Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania, their family, Regent is an amazing cruise line. I don't think I have a bucket list favorite cruise line that's out there that, I got to have. Looking forward to Ponant. I think I'm more destination driven. That's the typical traveler today. Most travelers are looking for the experience of where do we get to go. Most travelers that we talk to on a day in and day out basis are first and foremost thinking of their experience, what they'll remember from it, getting to go places that are exotic, someplace they had never been to before. So quite frankly, if you've been on a cruise, you've probably been to the Bahamas, Jamaica, Grand Cayman, Cozumel, at least 4 times.
Yeah. Guy, I want to just make them bleed a little bit, Dan. Will you give us the count that your Reykjavik trip is going to be? What number cruise is that going to be for you?
Pushing 300, over 250.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Did you see the tongues just flap out there? Did you see that? Happen? Yeah.
I look forward to trying to catch you up, Dan.
Yeah.
Well, I went, in all honesty, I went through a period of time when I owned my own agency, that agency's primary focus was large charter groups, incentive groups, and things like that. So I was escorting groups that were over 100 cabins or more. So if there's more than 100 cabins, some of them were going once a month, some of them were going once a week. So I was escorting a lot of groups. So I was. It sounds terrible to say it, but I was working. I swear I was.
forced to get on those ships. It was terrible. Yes. Had to have 2 suitcases so his wife could wash one while he was going with the It must have just been terrible.
Actually, I got to leave my clothes on one of the cruise lines that I used a lot. I had my own room, and I'd go home for a week and come back for a week, and I just left my junk there.
Alan says he's only just had 1 cruise, so you're like me, Alan. We've got a long way to catch up, but I'm sure we're going to do our very best.
Well, statistically, in America, this is held pretty solid. Of the adult travelers, my screen just went blank on me. I hope I was there. Okay. Of the adult travelers, people that spend money on vacation, statistics have not changed. CLIA is the last one that did this. About 80% of the people that spend money on vacation stay domestic. Only like 12% of the vacation dollars spent by adults have been on a cruise once. Of the ones that have been once, they repeat within 3 years again, then within 2 years, and then it's usually in every other year from that point forward. So once you've been on, like Alan said a minute ago, he's only been on 1. I'd be willing to bet now that he's been on 1, he's anxious and waiting to go again.
Alan,
you said you didn't have a cruise line that was a bucket list kind of thing. What's your favorite cruise ship? You mentioned Carnival, which is mine too. What's your favorite ship?
Wow, 250 some odd to go on. I was on a scenic river cruise that was fantastic. Carnival, I love the Spirit class ships. If you're familiar with those, the Spirit, the Pride, the Legend, I love that layout. Love that ship a lot. Gonna be experiencing the small ocean ships with Ponant. It's only 88 couples on board. I've yet to do something like that. I've been on and experienced stuff a little bit bigger, Regent and Seabourn and stuff. So I can't name a ship. It wouldn't be fair. I can't name a ship. It'd probably take me a little more ginkgo biloba to remember.
What about your favorite port of call?
First name that came to mind was Venice. I absolutely love Venice. And then Croatia surprised the crud out of me. Dubrovnik just blew me away. I feel like I've got a great handle on geography, and Croatia just really, really surprised me. So the Adriatic Sea, that area, the Adriatic Sea. I've not been to Greece, and so I'm looking forward to that experience probably in the next 12 months.
Katie, when you first put your tag up there, I read that you love Sympathy of the Seas.
There it
is. Symphony of the Seas. Yes, a wonderful ship. A wonderful ship. Where on the ship, obviously you've had the luxury of, they want to put you in different cabins, and sometimes the finest one just for the experience. But for us regular folk, where do you like to be on a ship? Front, back, middle, higher, lower? What do you like?
Yeah, it's a little bit, I hate to use the word myth. It's not quite the same anymore with the modern stabilizers and the azipods they use, the way the ships are built, the hulls of the ship. So in days gone by, it was always, you want to be the center and the closest to the water line to feel least amount of motion. It's hard to say that that's accurate when a lot of cruise lines put their suites all the way at the front forward or all the way at the back. So, I mean, you'd want your suite guests to have the best accommodations and the best the feel of the seat. So placement on the ship, I mean, my wife and I like the back of the ship. Looking off the back, it's a really neat panoramic view, unobstructed view. As far as deck, where it's at, doesn't affect me at all. Don't really care. I hate to use the word I would never go back in an inside cabin again, but yeah, I don't think I'd ever go in an inside cabin again. But then I'm not going to ride in the back of an airplane either.
John, I've got to ask this. Alan said, yes, I'd love to cruise out of Rome. Alan, I've actually booked a cruise out of Rome. I'm going to be on the Norwegian Epic in October next year, going from Rome to Rome. It looks like a fantastic cruise. And there's some great solo deals in the month of October on the Norwegian Epic at the moment from Rome. I've never been to Rome myself, never been to Italy, so I absolutely cannot wait. Got to ask this question, Dan. Who gets the best deals? Americans or European and British? Got to ask that. Who do you think?
It's contracted, so I would say that the deal doesn't have to do with where you're coming from or where you bought it from. It's how quickly you made your decision for that deal. As ships fill up, prices go down. And if you think for a minute the ships leave empty, you're wrong. The best rooms go first. So actually, I've had the luxury of working with the departments that accommodate ships. And the first thing that goes is your least expensive inside and your most expensive balcony. Those two are what go first. So if you care about your accommodations, you need to jump on the rates early and book now. That's your best pricing.
Can you answer this as well, please, Dan? Emily said, I recently heard on the other YouTube channels that Carnival ships are considered the party ships. I kind of thought the same thing, to be honest. What's your opinion on that?
That's great. Great question. And I appreciate that that's what they're thought of, because they are fun ships. That is their tagline. They will not let that go. And you will not go to sleep during the middle of the day on their ships. But it's different. To say party ship would remind me of in the late 70s and early 80s when everybody was on doing belly flop competitions and, getting, frankly, inebriated and out of control. Carnival travels more senior adults than any other cruise line. They travel more children and families than any other cruise line. those senior adults and those families with young children would not be caught dead on a ship that was a party ship. So party ship denotes, in my mind, and maybe in a marketing mind, there's a little bit of a out of control, too much going on, not necessarily safe. And nothing could be further from the truth. You just look at the demographics of who's traveling on them and who's going on them. I would say you could go on the nicest, most expensive cruise line in the world, and if they're doing a 3-night cruise to the Bahamas over spring break, it's a party cruise.
And just to finish off very quickly, Alan Spain, yes, it is a solo cruise. October the 13th out of Rome. Message me or check me out on Cruises for Solos, and I'll tell you more about it.
Pete,
John?
Make sure that when you do your cruise out of London, out of Rome, even though you're nearby, you're not having to cross a pond like we do, you want to get into Rome early, 3 days minimum. If you've never been to Rome before, it takes at least 2 days to casually see some stuff. So if you're there 2 to 3 days, you can get in some of the major things to see and do. If it's budget or time constraint, 2 to 3 days, I wouldn't touch it without being able to stop in and stay 2 or 3 days.
I'll have to answer that, Dan. Sorry, John. I've actually booked the hotel for 3 days at the port of Rome, so I can go to Rome for 2 days.
Is it?
So
You stay at the Hilton?
done that.
You stay at the Hilton at the port?
No, it's actually I can't remember what it's called. It's a small guest house.
Okay.
It's cost me just over £100 for 3 days. Could you believe?
Right.
And it's getting like 9 stars of recommendation. As everyone's saying, it's fantastic. It's on the port itself, so it's a small guest house, and it sounds great.
But he is sleeping with the owner, however. But that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're just a long way from at the port. You're just a good ways into town, so it's a little bit of a drive.
John,
on one of my epic crossings, lately I've been just taking the sail away fare because I don't drink anymore. I quit drinking, and so I save that money and I just take it's fun for me to just see what they give me. But I was in a balcony, the lowest balcony you can get, the farthest front balcony on the ship. And those balconies on the Epic are twice as deep. I mean, you could have had 15 people out in that balcony area. And it was one of the nicest crossings I ever made across the Atlantic Ocean. It was awesome. I didn't notice any of what they're claiming about the ship digging into the waves. There was just nothing. And we went through some water a couple of days, but I would book that again on purpose. That was really one of the nicest balcony rooms. I've been way up on the top, the highest balcony, right in the middle of the ship. I've never been in the back of the ship. It just seems to work out. I never get that backside. I'll have to try that now, Dan, if you say you like that. But I don't know that I've ever. Oh, I did have a bad room. Majesty of the Seas, 4th floor,
That big.
as far back as you can go, cross hall, inside cabin. You know, I mean, it was
109 square feet.
109.
You got to leave your luggage outside the room.
And I could feel the propeller turning under my floor. I think when it came around, it bumped the bottom of my bed just a little bit as it came around. But
yeah, I love Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Don't get me wrong, but the big joke in the industry for the longest time was there's showers in those ships. The Sovereign, the Majesty, the Monarch. The showers are so small that you would take your soap and you'd soap up the walls of the shower, and then you'd get in and shower and turn around like that.
That's why they have that music playing. That's what that's for.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah, a big fat guy like me, that's the only way you can take a shower on those things.
But I do want to point out, it was not a bad cruise.
No.
It was not a bad.
It's a great ship. It's a great ship. And you were talking about the Epic also, Pete and John. I was given the opportunity to be on the Epic when she was first came out, when she was inaugurated, and we had a great time. To the comment earlier about fun ship, it was a party ship, fun ship, because we were on an inaugural, and it's about what you want, where you want, what you want to do. A good cruise ship, whether it's Holland America Cunard, whether it's Carnival, whether it's Norwegian, whether it's Royal Caribbean, whether it's Panama. A good cruise ship should provide you with opportunities to try and experience different things. If given those opportunities are afforded to you on that ship, then whatever the marketing behind it is, that message isn't as important as what they're going to provide you once you get on.
What is your opinion of specialty dining?
You know, I'd say of all of the cruise lines, of all of the ships I've ever been on, the Pinnacle Grill was slated as the best specialty dining for years, and that's the dining on the Holland America ships, and it is fantastic. Disney put out their new ships, and they put out Paulo's, and Paulo's was fantastic. I've been to all the specialty dinings on all of the major cruise lines, and it's going to shock you when I tell you where I've had the number one best meal, and that's at the Chef's Table on Carnival Cruise Line. The Chef's Table on Carnival Cruise Line is a Epicurean culinary shore excursion unto itself. It's 3.5 hours of the most amazing service, food, and experience I have ever had in over 250 cruises.
Wow.
Your choice or the chef's choice?
I mean, you get a menu of items, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
I've got a question, John.
I'm back. I'm still on the lobster over in Holland America, so I'm catching up here, guys.
Yeah, I've got a question. I mean, if you haven't cruised before, and you are thinking of cruising, and you're obviously worried about all the publicity that's happened, what's the best advice you give to someone who's thinking of booking their first ever cruise, Dan?
Yeah, thinking of booking your first cruise, or let's go back and say this is January 1st, and you're going to plan a trip. You're excited, you're going to plan. COVID hasn't come to our attention yet. Now all of this is, do I have to rethink myself? I would say no, don't rethink yourself. I would say pump your brakes on your decision to travel. Again, experience, destination. Those are the kinds of things you need to be most attentive to. Brand of cruise line, name of ship. I don't think that is as important, but when you talk to your travel agent and say, this is how much I can afford, that's my budget, this is what I expect to get out of my trip, this is the experience that I want, and this is where I want to go. You give that to your travel agent and let them come back to you, and really try not to focus too much on what their best advice is for whether it's Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, or whether it is Carnival or Cunard, or whether it is Ponant or whomever it may be, or Regent. I would definitely say there's nothing that is happening today or happened yesterday that should make someone rethink going on a cruise. In fact, I read an article just the other day from a business friend of mine, somebody in the industry has been in the industry for a very long time. He was executive vice president of Norwegian Cruise Line. His name is Mr. Nuremberg, Bruce Nuremberg. He started a cruise line a lot of people may have heard of. It's called the Big Red Boat, Premier Cruise Line. And he, in this article, very carefully laid out how, in a nutshell, the cruise industry is now in a position to prove that while they are even more so safer, healthier, cleaner environments than ever before. And they are now poised and in a position to prove it to those people who have yet to cruise or those who are reluctant to cruise. Because those of us that cruise regularly, I'm not giving it a second thought. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried about it. I trust the cruise lines. But for those that were hesitant or remain hesitant, this is going to be the opportunity for the cruise industry to shine like never before with things that are being implemented and put into place to keep you safe and healthy throughout the whole time. And I think that people should be taking advantage of the offers that are being made now, because when that becomes a lot more evident in the future, they're going to be very surprised when they can't get on.
Yep, good. And like you said earlier, Dan, my problem isn't going to be my transatlantic. My problem is Fargo, Chicago, Frankfurt to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And then my problem is, if I could ever get a hold of the people who transmuted the Epic to Puerto Rico, that really ticks me off. Yeah. Because I got to get from Puerto Rico, because living here by Fargo, North Dakota, I got to get from Puerto Rico to America, then to Chicago, then to Fargo. So it's a That's the problem.
Well, to that point, we're talking a lot about cruising and bringing air into this. Delta Airlines, for example, I was reading a report this morning about the different airlines, social distancing, every other seat, and how they're filling planes more than they had anticipated. And somebody said, well, why aren't they making people bump people from flights and so forth? And what they're needing to do is they're putting more flights back into service. They pulled flights out, mothballed aircraft, and now they're going to put them back into service. Airports like Kansas and stuff like that have airplanes parked out on the tarmac someplace. So they're trying to get planes up and running and get the air conditioning system back in place so that they can provide the flights for everybody. My point being, I was looking for this Reykjavik trip and trying to figure out how to fly to Reykjavik, which just opened up for airlines from the United States, and return back from Dublin. So it's open jaw. It's a lot of complicated flights. And within 24 hours, Delta Airlines opened up some flights where the day before I was going to have to fly from Jacksonville to Boston, from Boston to Paris, from Paris to Amsterdam, Amsterdam over to Reykjavik. Yeah, it was messed up, and I was not a happy camper. 24 hours later, direct flights. So airlines are opening up. Airlines are opening up. Airports are opening up. They're getting the planes back into service. They're offering some of the highest quality cleaning that can be done. They're doing a doggone good job of getting everything up and running where it's safe for everybody.
Yes.
And what else do you expect to see in the future from cruise lines? For instance, I did the inaugural Encore cruise from Southampton to New York, and the go-kart track and the laser tag. I did both. I was actually driving the go-kart as we went under the bridge in New York. I was like that. I was like, oh my God, I'm under the bridge. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, what do you think about things like having go-kart tracks and laser tag, and what else can they do?
The what else they can do, the minds of those who created everything Disney. I mean, that you can go back to that and say, who would have thought that we could do the kinds of things we're doing, the anime and all the different types of fancy gadgetry and the 3D imaging and so forth and so on. So who knows what's in the mind of the humans that could put forth these types of things. But I will say this, and I'm going to go back to it, what I've said before, is to some people, all of that is not cruising. All of that is an amusement park on a facility that actually moves. And to some people, that's not cruising. That's not traditional. It's not comfortable. I don't want to be a part of that. To that person, I would tell them you need to be on Seabourn. You need to be on Regent. You need to be on one of those types of cruises, or Cunard or something like that. Holland America, that focus on history, that focus on art, that focus on literature, that focus on expedition travel. I think that the way of the future for the cruise industry is just that. I think that exotic ports of call are going to come into place first. I think that historical art, Epicurean travel is going to explode all over the place. I think that if you're not, I would save my money. I'm going to step on some toes. I'd save my money and not take a traditional cruise so that I could afford to take something a little bit more exotic, a little bit more out of the box, a little bit more unique, and have an experience that you'll come home and say, blew me away, as opposed to something that say, yeah, so I've been on a cruise. So for me to say, I've been on 250 cruises, yeah, I've been on a cruise. But for me to come back from this upcoming cruise I'm so excited about, to say I got to go to Iceland and Reykjavik, and to be able to go over to Ireland and sail through the North Atlantic with 88 couples, and to have the type of service that those types of cruise lines provide. More guest space ratio, better crew to passenger ratio. Those are the types of things that I think that the traveler today is looking for. I don't want to be in a crowd. I don't want to go to the same place over and over again. I don't want to feel like just a number. I think the cruise industry is going more in a direction for the luxury, the exotic, the experiential.
So if we wanted to use somebody like you, I mean, obviously you're past the point of being the Joe Blow travel agent. I understand that. Do you have people that are, you can go to your website and say, I need an agent.
Uniquely, no. And I'm proud to say no. Our agents, we facilitate them to be their own company. They are their own company. They have their own marketing programs that we facilitate for them to make them be able to make themselves available to you through websites, through social media, through all the training that we deliver to them. And it would be wrong for me to sit in a position to say, hey, when John calls me up, I'm sending him to Maureen. Well, I mean, Maureen is his agent, and Maureen's an outside agent, and she's a great lady. But that would be wrong for me to single out one or two of our agents, or to even have an agency profile that said, okay, in this zip code, here's 13. But of those 13, just because they're in your zip code, may not be the right personality for you. So no, we don't do that, and we're actually kind of proud of it. We let our individual agents be individual people and run their business individually and market to whom they want to and help their guests the way they want to.
Awesome.
And we have some outside agent listeners on here. One came by today. I know that one of the gals that put up a comment here today is an outside agent. So they're all around. And I guess if you put in our chat room, I'm looking for a quality agent. But one of the things that they will not do is they will not race to the bottom on price.
No.
That's the one thing that you will not find from the outside agents, or at least any that I know, is if you're looking for that, give me the lowest price that I can for this upcoming cruise, then you're barking up the wrong, the wrong smokestack. There we go. You're barking up the wrong smokestack. Because
Travel's got to be about value. We've got to get out of the mentality as consumers. You don't want to go buy a car that's the cheapest car on the lot and take a chance that the dadgum brakes don't work. That is just the most ludicrous thought in your mind. Do you want to go to the grocery store and buy the least expensive steak, and you get it home and you tear it out of the package and the bottom side of it is green? That just makes no sense. So why would you take your hard-earned luxury or your hard-earned vacation dollars and try to get a vacation as cheap as you can? I want a good value. Hey, I might can afford first-class air, but I want it at a good value. I'm not going to give you $10,000 for first-class air if I'm able to find it for $9,000. I'm going to ask a professional travel agent and say, look, I want first-class air. My budget is $9,000. Get it as close to that as you can, and I'm a happy camper.
I have to say, guys, I mean, Dan, you've been an inspiration, and I totally agree with what you're saying about the destinations, because even though I'm quite a new cruiser, I found myself looking at the exotic destinations and saving up to go to that destination. And I actually booked a cruise on the Norwegian Jewel. No, is it the Jade? I think it is. Sorry, South Africa in 2023, January 2023. I'm cruising from South Africa via Namibia, I think it is as well.
Yep.
I cannot wait to do that. So I'm literally doing what you're saying is happening.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, we're getting to there. We're seeing a lot. I did not know these people were. Look at that, Dan.
Hey, Andrea.
They're popping out of the woodwork.
There's several of them in our chat room. I'm surprised.
They're family. I mean, outside. Hey, LaShawn. Hey, Charlie. Outside agents, I said it at the beginning, we're a family. If you want to join somebody like, I'll throw it out there, the AAA, you want to be a franchise in AAA, and that's what you want on your building, AAA is a great company. Join AAA. It's a franchise. If you want to have a company that is going to offer you this, that, and the other thing, but not back it up and support it, you better read carefully. If you want somebody that considers you an important part of why I come to work every day, then you want to be an agent with outside agents. And our owners answer their cell phone. I answer my email 24/7, 365, no matter where I am. 6,000 agents know they can reach me at the drop of a hat. In fact, if my phone started buzzing right now, I'd have to tell y'all I got that.
Well, and I'm even surprised. I knew there was some agents out there, but just to catch them randomly here at this moment is
crap. Actually, I've missed some.
No. Peter, anything more today?
No, great. It's been fantastic listening to you, Dan. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me.
Chili?
Great. Thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Chili, Pete, John, thank you so much for allowing me to come on your program. It's a really nice opportunity.
Dan, we hope that in a year or so you'll come back and we'll kind of catch up, and hopefully this whole COVID thing will be behind us, and we're going to talk about the new exciting things that are coming up. There's Pixie Dust. I've known her for a couple of years already. So
Melissa's awesome.
Yeah, and we'll come on again, and we'll be like a family reunion, and we'll talk more cruising and everything like that. For all of our listeners, especially, we were so happy today that we paralleled with Emma over cruising isn't just for old people. It's not just for old people, but it is for us old people too. So Dan Crutchfield, our special guest today, thank you, and say hi to all of our friends down there in Jacksonville, Florida. Hunker down for tonight's weather. Pete over in London, and thank you for doing this. Chili, get out to that swimming pool if you get any warm water in it here. We're going to hunker down. They say tonight's weather is going to be hail, tornadoes like we've never seen. So assuming that I'm here for next week, we'll look forward to seeing you all. Pete, there's something coming up in the meantime, right? What have you got in the meantime here? You got something?
No, I'm fine, John. I'm fine. I'm cool.
Nothing in the meantime. We'll see you all next Sunday evening in London, afternoon in the United States. Have a great week, everybody.
Cheers.